Hello, and welcome to the Experience Local with Russ and Scott. Each week, they bring you conversations with local Christian businesses and business owners. Join in every Monday live at 9 a.m. Pacific on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. Catch the audio on KWIL 790 AM Monday evenings at 6 p.m. The Experience Local is brought to you each week by wonderful sponsors.
Southpaw's Pizza and Sports Bar, 560 Northwest Hickory Street in Albany. southpawspizza.com. Independent Merchant Brokers, low-cost and no-cost debit and credit card processing. 877-460-4747. independentmerchantbrokers.com. Bosun Hub. Since 2012, Bosun Hub has built over 350 websites and many ad campaigns. bosunhub.com. Adams Rib Smokehouse, 210 State Street in Salem. 503-362-2194. adamsribsmokehouse.com.
And now, your hosts for the Experience Local, Russ and Scott.
Happy Monday! All right,
Hey,
we've got
there we
Chris
go.
already on with us this morning, and we're so happy to be here today on the Experience Local, live with Russ and Scott. How's it going, Scott?
Hey, it's great. This is episode 1, the inaugural local of the experience, which is going to be a lot of fun. We've got Chris here with us today, and so here it is, the first episode, Believers in Business. We've got lots of guests lined up, like Chris, and all of their stories going to be very inspirational. I'm really looking forward to that.
Yes, I am so excited. You know, every Monday we're going to be here, and we are, as you heard in the intro, not only live streaming, but also going to be on KWIL 790 radio. And we're really excited about this opportunity, about bringing the local community together. And today we have an amazing guest and a good friend of mine who is on immediately because Russ decided to do that at the last minute. So I am so excited to have you here, Chris, and give everybody just a little bit of a snapshot starting off. Who is Chris Reese, and what kind of businesses are you operating here in the local area?
Well, good morning, and thanks for having me on the show today. My name is Chris Reese. I'm the current CEO of the Mid-Willamette Family YMCA here in Albany, Oregon. I'm a retired colonel, 23 years active duty, multiple combat deployments in my career. And then I took a stint as a Linn County Sheriff's Office deputy for about a year. It was a fantastic opportunity. And then all of a sudden the CEO job here fell into my lap, and I had to take this opportunity to serve our local community. I'm married. I have 3 children, 21, 18, and 13, 3 boys. 2 are collegiate athletes, and my 13-year-old is already stating he's going to be better than both of them. So it's kind of fun to watch my 3 little athletic children get through life and also be great academically. And then I own a couple restaurants in town, one called Southpaw's Perfect Pizza and Sports Bar. And then we have a Shortstop's Hamburger Shakes and Fries right next to it, which is a small drive-through with a great hamburger. So that's kind of me in a nutshell.
So how did you choose the military? Because beforehand we talked about ROTC, that you were a part of ROTC. Actually, I happened to have Oregon State University on the screen live right there behind me, looking at the Memorial Union. So kind of an iconic part of that.
Yes.
And restaurants. I mean, this is quite a combination, going from military to restaurants and YMCA.
I graduated in 1991 from high school. My father is a Marine. I was intending on going in the Marine Corps from high school when Desert Storm was ongoing. And because the war ended so quickly, I decided to go ROTC, Oregon State and Western, and play football at Western Oregon State and do ROTC and march on those grounds that are behind your head there, Dr. Smith. It was a pretty fun looking at those memories, thinking back on the memories of that view that you have behind you. I've marched on those grounds many a times. And so I decided to join the Army. My family didn't disown me, which was cool because I became a helicopter pilot, going into the Army as opposed to the Marine Corps. So they still talked to me and everything because they thought helicopter flying was still pretty cool. So joined ROTC, went off to flight school. And, as far as how the pizza thing came about, who doesn't love pizza? So, I mean, might as well jump into that restaurant business. If you love it that much, you might as well become one with it, right? So I decided to open up a cool sports bar. I love sports. I love pizza. It's a perfect combination. And North Albany didn't have that venue. So I saw a small delta that needed to be covered, and I decided to go for it in North Albany.
Yeah, that is, it's amazing, Chris. I think you need more to do, first of all. I think you've got a few things going on, and that is an amazing thing all by itself. But, one thing, this show, there are so many strong believers in business, and our theme of the show in the area, people that integrate their faith in their life and their business and their family, everything going on there. And I know that's really important to you. And how has that really strengthened you and really been an advantage for you in business and all that you've done?
Well, I always tell my boys that I've definitely surpassed all cats' 9 lives multiple times over in the military. So I believe in godly intervention in everything I do in my life, and that nothing's impossible with God. So end of the day, with all the experience I have in 38 different countries across the world, flying helicopters in places that they didn't really want me to be there, and getting back safely where maybe some of my folks did not make it back as safely as I did, and God rest a lot of those souls. I would say everything I've been part of in my life, I every single time give credit and all glory to God. And I have several examples even here at the YMCA. When I took over the YMCA, we were a trajectory of bankruptcy in about a year and a half with a very low reserve. And we had a great new building that my predecessor built. It was a beautiful 2015 built building. But it was starting to get to a point where we were in desperate need of intervention. And I'll tell you, God just put his hands on us. And through even COVID, we were able to present a schoolhouse here for 350 children, keeping us alive and relevant to society, which also then made it so that we could get grants. And so, God put a master's degree in my past that allowed me to write some grants. And through that, we wrote, over $10 million in grant and got 589,000 square foot of turf here. We built a preschool. We built an enormous playground center, $750,000 for all adaptive, all inclusive, an all adaptive, all inclusive campus where even the turf is static free for folks with cochlear implants and heart transplant wiring. It doesn't impede or interfere with that wiring. All that was built in the last 4.5 years. So you went from 4.5 years ago, we were worried about bankruptcy, to God putting his hand in this and to say, hey, Chris, lead this group, and here's some opportunity. And oh, by the way, this is why we gave you that master's degree, 20 years ago. That took me 5 years to complete because I kept getting deployed and having to get incompletes on. It was crazy, but we stuck with it. And it's weird how things work, but I also just believe that there's a plan for us, and that God is so great that making the decisions I did, I look back on it and go, oh, that's why you did that, God. Oh, that's why you did that. Sometimes you don't know why things happen until all of a sudden this opportunity comes about, and you're like, okay, that's why you had me get that degree. That's why you made that decision. So just don't question it. You got to keep fighting through, and make sure that tomorrow is going to be better than today. So just that's the mentality you have to have.
Yeah, I love that, and just being able to take that business mindset that you have with the restaurants and applying that to a nonprofit. I think in some cases we think of nonprofit as losing money, but that isn't really necessarily the case.
Right.
Because the YMCA, if it goes bankrupt, well, there's a lot of families and individuals that would lose out on that. Yeah. And just these little things that you think about. So I think about this turf being static free. How did these types of things come about? It's just crazy.
So we did a survey of families that have a child with a special need, and who would have known unless you get out there and ask the question, right? So a lot of people claim they have an all adaptive and all inclusive campus, but are they really asking the people that need these services? And the answer typically is no. They just do the best of their ability, and still that's good stuff, but we can even do better by asking the folks, hey, what do you need? What do you want? What is lacking in other places that you go? So when we did an enormous survey across 3 counties that we serve, which is Linn, Benton, and Lincoln counties, we did a survey and found out, hey, what is the need? And one of our inspirations were a family that has to save up their money every year, and instead of going to Disneyland, like or something like that, they go to their own form of Disneyland in Northern California, where it's a enormous campus and things to do for children with special needs. It broke my heart. It literally broke me down. Like, I had tears flowing from my face when I left the conversation. I came back into my office. I'm kind of a big sap anyway. I might be a hardcore military guy, but I'm actually a big sap. My players that I coach will tell you I'm inspired easily, and I love great moments, and I cry in Rocky, for God's sakes. So anyway, I walked to my office and I'm like, man, that's not right. You shouldn't have to save your money for going to a place in Northern California where your children with special needs have to, or have ability to play on a playground. My goodness, we've got to do something about that, right? So this was my inspiration, 100%. I'm not going to name the family, but I inspired me to say, you know what, we're going to make this happen. So we fundraised in 6 months, $750,000 to complete this project. We have children that now can go up 27-foot slides. We have merry-go-rounds. We have swing sets. It doesn't matter what special need your child has. We have the ability to serve them, and they have a blast out there. The turf, being static free, allows you to be mobile with a wheelchair all through the campus. We have a young lady right now that's recovering from a bad crash. She's going to spend an enormous amount of time here. She's already came here once or twice and has used our campus. It's the coolest thing she's ever seen. She's able to get around on the apparatuses. She was most likely never going to walk again. She almost died, and she's now able to jump on these apparatuses and feel like a kid. So it is probably the coolest thing of all the things we built here. That playground is just one more thing that God just threw in and said, hey, you don't have this in your area. Chris, why don't you knock this out? Why don't you make this happen? And so with a great board that I have here, an enormous membership group that just believed in what we're doing here, we were able to put together a gala that got all that money covered, and we didn't have to pay anything out of pocket. And now we have this really cool community playground that we have hours for, whether you're a YMCA member or not. We have free hours for the community. It's just really cool. Every time I walk out there, it's emotional.
Yeah. Well, you know what I love about you, Chris? You and I have been friends for a long time. And, when I saw all the things you were doing, I don't know if you remember back to when we first met. We were actually both up for First Citizen or whatever in the Albany chamber. And I thought, I know all of these people, but I don't know this Chris guy. And so everybody tells me I know everybody. So I'm going to get to know this Chris guy. We got together since then on a regular basis, grabbing coffee, lunch, whatever, been able to work together. I've been able to help support you, and you've been able to help my business as well, support me. And you are such a blessing, but you're always looking to bless people, looking to help community. And you're doing cool things like, let's talk skating rink. How many roller skating rinks are there around, and how many of the cool things that you're doing in that additional building that you've got out there in between the turf fields? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so having the 3 boys and having to leave town for birthday parties and such, for whether it be their friends or my boys' birthday parties and such. I said enough is enough. Albany needs to not only bring in sports fields and have our own fields to play in, and bring in commerce and people to our gas stations, our restaurants, and our hotels. We need to have things for our kids to do. So we have a great bowling alley in town that has served our community well, and it continues to serve our community well. But other than that, we don't really have a destination location for birthday parties. So our inspiration there was to like stop having people leave Albany, and people need to come into Albany. And so we decided to open up a roller skating rink. We also have roller hockey. We have roller derby. We have wrestling, boxing, CrossFit, personal fitness lessons, tumbling, cheerleading. We have 106 activities here. And to put that into perspective, we had in the 40s back in 2019 when I took over. So I hired a great team of just young, energetic folks that are just like seeking what can we do more for this community. So I have a few people I've known for 10 years come in to work for me, 10, 15 years, a couple people now that really understand Albany. They are out there desperately seeking anyone's ability to give us ideas. Hey, why aren't you staying in Albany? What more can we be doing? And then we try, we do it. We just.
Yeah. I mean, I just love that. I mean, you just do it. And you froze there right in the middle of your statement. But
Well,
actually that was at a good part, right, Scott?
yeah, I was just thinking about some of the different items in Albany. So that bowling alley, my family and I have spent many hours there at the bowling alley and the mini golf course. And of course, now there's the carousel that has come online over the last few years. A lot of volunteers, and that has become quite a destination. In fact, if you're driving up from Southern Oregon on Interstate 5, you're going to see a billboard out there touting the carousel. But I love Chris's ideas about having things to do locally, that we don't need to leave our community. And that's really, Russ, what a big part of the Experience Local is all about.
Yeah, no, exactly. You're so right. And I love that because when Chris is talking about, whether it's been sporting tournaments or whether it is, destinations for parties or whatever, he's always thinking about those kind of things. And that is something we do want to do here. We do want to focus on amazing people like Chris that love the Lord, that are moving forward in a positive way, that are not only doing these great, amazing things, which we have a lot going on, but also are trusting God every step of the way. I just think that is so important. Yeah.
It's interesting too, because, here we are with our first focus with Chris, and welcome back in. As they say, technology is what we call things that don't work yet. So we're glad to have you on here. Chris, I just wanted to say one thing on behalf of myself and many of the other people in the audience. Thank you for your service. I know it's a sacrifice for yourself and for your family, but a commitment that you learned from your family that I'm sure that you're passing on to your boys as well. My experience has been people like yourself that have served and have been in, as you say, many different combat situations. There's a couple of ways you can go, and one of them is to have a deep appreciation of life. And having you here on the Experience Local today, I really get that you have a deep appreciation for life, and this is something that you're passing on to your boys.
Yeah, I coach a couple thousand kids in town, football, baseball, and basketball. In fact, I just got out of a state tournament where we didn't get it done, but our 7th grade team was ranked number 1 going into state as a 5A school amongst mostly 6A schools, and we finished number 9 in the state and number 1 5A school in the state. Being the 1 seed sometimes, as you know, March Madness bracket, that's a kind of a tough thing to do. I had a couple sick kids on Saturday, and we had a rough Saturday, but we beat the team on Friday that ended up getting 2nd in the tournament. And I had an enormous amount of people come up and say, you guys deserve 1 seed. You guys are the best team in the state, and a lot of coaches from other teams from 6A. But why I'm bringing that up is that in those moments, in those things, we learn, right? So we teach respect, responsibility, caring, faith, and honesty to our kiddos. It's bigger than winning basketball games. They got to deal with resiliency. They got to deal with a bad game. And then how are you going to react on Sunday? Although we're out of the championship, you got 2 games on Sunday to get 9th place. So you can either be 12th or 9th. You're going to be in the top 12. Which one do you want to be? You can hang your head, or you can follow the motto that I follow from special operations, and that's Night Stalkers don't quit. we don't quit. You just keep fighting. You keep fighting and until the clock is up, and even then some. And so my boys came out and whipped up on a couple teams on Sunday and finished the tournament very well, very respectfully. And they were inspirational to watch. They didn't hang their heads. They don't have bad attitudes. They don't get technical fouls because we don't tolerate any of that stuff. We represent a uniform. So for us, that's the West Albany Bulldogs. And that's a big deal to me and the families and the kiddos. And some have to learn that the hard way. There are repercussions to actions, but they all eventually come on board. And I'll tell you, this team has been pretty fun. Of all the teams I've coached over the last 18 years in town, it's one of my favorite teams I've ever coached. And it's bigger than the wins. It's bigger than being number one. It's not about just winning. It's about the character of when you don't. And it hurts. It hurts. You know, I didn't sleep very well. I mean, I was like, I failed somewhere. What could I have done better? I put it on myself. I'm the coach. I'm the mentor. So when things are good, I give that to my guys, my staff here, my staff at my military guys, my kiddos. When things are bad, that's my fault. I'm in charge. It's my fault. And that's just how I've always been. I'm not a typical, take credit kind of guy. I'm not that guy at all. Actually, when I die, I just want to be known as a servant. That's all it needs to be put. A good dad and a great servant. And there's nothing else on my gravestone that anybody needs to talk about. But it's been a pretty fun life. So.
And that is your great attitude and your great perspective, Chris. And that is, you have a servant's heart. And that's what I love about you and all that you're doing. And, when it comes to teaching these young men their good perspective on life and a good work ethic and, really godly character in all that you're doing, this is your faith integrated in your life, integrated through all you're doing, and you're passing that along. And I just think that is so amazing in all that you're doing. And I think, we're blessed with a great community and a lot of people doing some pretty great things. But Chris, you are just special, and I appreciate you and all that you're doing. And Scott, you had another thought. I'm sorry.
Oh, well, I was just thinking about this, Chris, as you're talking about coaching all these students, and for many of us, we had the opportunity to be in extracurricular activities, whether it was music or drama or sports, athletics, those types of things. What I found was that the coach, the leader there, sure taught us about sports, but also we learned great life lessons, and that was more important. As I've gone through life, it turns out not everybody has that opportunity.
Right.
And with budget cuts and different things like that, it can be a challenge.
Yeah.
Can you tell us some of the programs that are going on at the Y that families can take part in and help add these lessons to their children?
So between basketball, volleyball, aquatics, personal training sessions that we have, tumbling, cheerleading, boxing, CrossFit, we have an enormous amount of opportunity and for all ages. That's the beauty of the YMCA. When I took over, we had a lot of competitive natured type events, and a paradigm shift has occurred in the last 4.5 years where all the organizations, and I say just servant organizations that are seeking donations from donors, we changed that atmosphere. That's not what the YMCA is about, nor is it what Albany needs to be about. So my good friend, like in the Boys and Girls Club, John Anderson, who's become a very close friend, we don't compete on things any longer. We cover deltas that are missing in our society. And so if they have something and it's not full, we try to push people to that organization to fill that hole. And if there's a need, like in basketball, like we have an enormous following in basketball, end of the day, we both need to offer that, and we don't even have enough to cover there. So we work together really well with organizations to make sure it's all about serving, not about money. You do have to run a business. Make no mistake about it. Nonprofits have to run a business. You have to keep the lights on. You got to pay your salaries. But we only need to zero out, just barely be in the black. And so serving our community and partnering with like partners has enabled us to grow in things that we don't have in our community, and to like get out of things that we don't need to do because other organizations are already doing a good job with that. And so instead we market for them. And in that paradigm shift, it's been brilliant. The last 4.5 years, I've been in Albany since 2003. The last 4.5 years has been more collaborative than any time in the history of Albany, as far as organizations like I'm running can attest to. So my buzzwords are this, right off the bat, it's relevancy. Then I want to collaborate. Then I want to communicate in year 3. 4, I want to build. 5 year, fifth year, we're in the growth year right now, and then be self-sustainable in year 6. They're never ending, forever. Those are my 6. I'm a strategic planner. I'm always 20 years out. And that is how the Albany will grow. That's how Albany will be prepared for that 2050 infrastructure necessity of 90,000 people. Mayor's doing a good job on that. The city's trying hard to build, but keep up with the infrastructure needs. We call ourselves the southern entrance to Albany. We want to beautify this campus so that when you come in from the south, you see the YMCA and the LBCC as the main entry gates. We take that seriously. We want a clean campus, and we want to make sure we're representing from the south. But we have to build our infrastructure up. And so we're buying up as much as we can, continuing to build to prepare for that 2050 year, which is, again, 90,000 people that we're not prepared for. But this is a great community. And the only way for young families to want to move into here is we have to have affordable housing and have the infrastructure in place to provide for that necessity. So I'm pumped about being part of that future. The decisions we're making now will be when I'm a grandpa. My grandkids will be like, "Hey, I'm glad they built this around here." I'm like, "Yeah, me too." Me too. So
I love that.
I'm always thinking 20 to 25 out.
Yeah.
And I think it works. So tons of programs. Love to have anybody that's listening, please come see what we have. And if we don't have what you are wanting, just ask, because we'll probably put it in motion. That's what we're doing here.
Chris, amazing. And I'm listening. I want to know more about all of this. How do people get in touch with you? How do they get in touch with your businesses? Give us a quick connection point.
Well, Southpaws is in North Albany. I think it's been coming across the bottom of the screen, but it's at 560 Northwest Hickory Street, North Albany. Pretty awesome little sports team place. And then Shortstops is right next to it. Hamburgers, kind of an In-N-Out burger feel. We have all the same equipment, except for our burger's better. And then the YMCA here at 3201 Pacific Boulevard in Albany. Can't miss us. We have the enormous NFL lighting around our 589,000 square foot of turf, and just a beautiful campus. I compare it to a Nike campus. That was the goal. That's the buzzword I sent around the first couple of months of the vision, having this built. So love to have anyone come in, stop by. I'm open door all the time, and I just really appreciate you letting me be on the show today.
You bet.
We're getting the word out for especially the YMCA. And I love that, all of this talk is around giving glory to God, because without God in our lives and in my life, none of this comes true. So all glory to him, not to a human. So I just want to make sure we're real clear on that.
Perfect. Yeah, it is so true. And Chris, bless you. We'll talk to you in just a minute. Thanks so much for being here. And you're amazing. We'll see you in just a sec.
Okay.
So great, Scott.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing.
Well, here's the Experience Local #1. Thank you to everybody, and thank you to Chris.
That's right. And I'm telling you that it's been a blessing to be with all of you. We want to promote you engaging in your local community. Don't forget that this is all about our local community, but we'll be here every Monday. And thanks so much for joining us today. We had an amazing time, and we'll see you next Monday. All right. Bye, everybody.
Thank you for tuning in to the Experience Local with Russ and Scott. Listen to the program on Spotify or wherever you listen to fine podcasts. Join in every Monday live at 9 a.m. Pacific on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. Catch the audio on KWIL 790 AM Monday evenings at 6 p.m. We look forward to seeing you next time on the Experience Local with Russ and Scott.